Welcome to the Meet the Expert live webcast today, and a warm welcome to our today's topic, Digital Strategies in Distribution. My name is Ines Kössler and I am the organizer of this webcast today. Before we go ahead now with the webcast, just let us have a brief view at our so-called housekeeping items. Brent, could you please skip? Thanks. The webcast today will be recorded and the PDF and the video will be sent to you, I think, latest by Friday this week. You have the possibility via the question and answer box on the right side on the panel to add the questions, and the questions will then be answered at the end of the webcast. You have the possibility as well to discuss your questions regarding this webcast or general questions referring to our products or solutions with the experts at the CBOR community. You can register by yourself for the community, and it's a good platform for all the questions coming up during the week and all the time to address it to the CBOR experts. At the end, you will find a really brief survey. It takes you not more than 3 seconds to answer, and I would be grateful if you will do so. So then I'm pretty happy to welcome our today's speaker, Brent Tisdale. He has prepared a comprehensive update on today's topic, and I wish you a very interesting webcast now and hand over to Brent.
Thank you, Ines. Welcome, everyone. Like Ines mentioned, today's discussion will be about pretty much digital strategies. I'll call it omni-channel strategies because that's really kind of a focus I'm going to have with regards to distribution and looking at some of the barriers that can have an impact on sales channels. The agenda that I'm going to take today is as follows. We're going to look at the omni-channel, and the omni-channel is really part of this new digital economy. I'm going to kind of touch base on what it is, who it impacts, kind of the what, who, where, when, and how. Is it imperative? And if it's not imperative, then what? But more importantly, if it is imperative, then which path do you take? And how do you position yourself with regards to being able to eliminate some of the critical barriers? I'm going to then talk about how CBOR is positioned. This is not necessarily a technical demonstration or a technical discussion, I should say. More so a high level, where do we fit, how do we fit? And in regards to a couple of elements I'm going to mention, the bimodal approach and the hybrid data management platform that we're going to bring to the table. Now let me define real quickly what I mean by bimodal. Some of you may have heard the term bimodal, and it's used by Gartner. What it says is it's a way of IT organizations leveraging or deploying resources to what we call maintain your mission critical systems or pretty much keep the lights on. And then the other side of it is how do you then deploy resources for delivering innovative, creative ideas and new technologies, in that case digital technologies, the mobile applications, etc. And so it's how do you find a solution that enables you to move bimodally into the era of the digital economy. And then, of course, the hybrid integration, and if you've heard the term before, it's been around a little bit while. It's called the IT leverages, hybrid infrastructure leverages a couple of things within your infrastructure. One is the cloud and also on-premise. You can also look at hybrid perhaps in a different way, as also looking at the number of or various numbers of data formats and real-time versus batch, etc. So these are approaches I'm going to take in explaining this particular disruptive technology called the digital evolution. Very quickly, the question today is always asked, is this a trend or fast-moving fad in terms of this digital evolution? When you decide to go into digital evolution, there's some critical layers of technology you may want to consider. One may be a mobile app so you can reach out to your consumers. The other may be delivering some technologies that enable you to have what we call a full view of your inventory in terms of knowing where all your stock keeping locations are and having all the inventory information. The other piece could be full collaborations where you make sure you're streamlining all your suppliers. So those are kind of the layers that you look at. But you also have to factor in how do you deploy it to make it beneficial for you. per se. And I'm going to run through some companies real quick to show you the span from which companies view the digital evolution. Crocs, for example, only uses inventory visibility instead of doing a mobile app. And the reason for it is that they realize their customers only buy items on specific occasions, like going on vacation. Their customers do not go out and search vast amounts of locations searching for Croc-like shoes. They're going specifically for Crocs. So Crocs decided if they're going to drive their sales and drive it effectively, they would focus on inventory visibility so they make sure they can deliver that inventory to their customers when their customers need it. Then you look at a company like Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret's a little different. They noticed that their millennial crowds were more focused on where are all the possible products that they can purchase. And in that instance, Victoria's Secret decided to get rid of their catalog and go to a mobile application, and then layer on top of a mobile application some inventory visibility. And so they're able to satisfy their customers' needs. And then you go to a company like Nordstrom. Now, Nordstrom is probably the poster child for leveraging the digital economy. And what they're able to do is mobile applications, inventory visibility, connecting in all sorts of ways with their carriers to make sure that the product can be delivered to a customer as quickly as possible. And then you have Best Buy. Best Buy was a couple of 3 years ago, they were having some challenges with regards to sales. And if you look at that second paragraph, they were able to boost their online sales by 17%. And what they did was a mobile application, inventory visibility. They did cross-application integration, which I'll talk about in a minute, to make sure they can meet the demands of that particular mobile customer. But more importantly, they then also upgraded their back end with their suppliers so the supply chain, the fulfillment side of the business, can keep up with the demand side of the business. And oh, by the way, they happen to use Seaburger in that particular instance. So when you take a look at omnichannel, omnichannel is really about a cross-channel business model to increase customer experience through integrating your back-end channels, breaking down the barriers. And the most important piece on this screen would be the path of purchase. The path of purchase is where you, I'm sure each and every one of us, I know I have, where leverage our particular smartphone to go through what we call the discovery and research phase when we're looking for a specific product, meaning that we're going to discover what's out there, the options, we're going to read reviews, we're going to look at all the information in order to make a determination on where we're going to buy and how we're going to buy. And that's what customers are doing today. And then they're going to also the e-tailers. E-tailers are positioned well versus brick and mortar to provide all the information we call the virtual inventory of information, because brick and mortar stores can only hold so much inventory, whereas if you go online, you can offer all the SKUs that you want at that point in time. And so these e-tailers are having a leg up over brick and mortar stores, and that's why a lot of the consumers are going in that direction. More importantly, at the bottom is that when a consumer makes a purchase, even if it's to an e-tailer or going to a store, they want to have that particular product delivered to them the way they want. They may want to pick up at a store, home delivery, or pick up at a warehouse. Now your Amazon, for example, has gotten very creative, and now they can deliver a product within 24 hours to meet the same benefits that you can get at a store. So they're getting very close to being able to compete very directly with brick and mortar stores. Here again, going back to fulfilling that omni-channel requirement from the customer. So if you take a final take, you say there's maybe some growth here, but there are also challenges, because can everyone make money at this? Are there any barriers to keeping you from being very successful in this particular market? Now, if you take a look at this particular picture, this is your traditional picture. On the far left side, you see suppliers meeting the needs for CP manufacturers. You see manufacturers will send bulk, large shipments through their 3PLs to retailers, and typically customers will go to a store. They get on the phone, look at a catalog, and place orders. That's your traditional model. Kind of predictable, kind of large, and how should I say, sluggish to a certain degree, but that's what we're used to. But when you add the omni-channel approach to it, and if you can see, we offer 3 more channels. There's an internet channel, there's a smartphone channel, there's a kiosk channel. What customers are looking for is they want to buy anywhere, fill anywhere, at any time. That creates a huge challenge now for your retailers, your CPG manufacturers, and your suppliers in 3PL. And the reason for that, their systems were never designed, the processes were never designed, the people were not really in place to be able to address the high level of demand and the fluidity of information that has to flow to this customer as quickly as possible. And what I'm going to do is just focus on the challenges that are found within retailers. It's the same type of challenges, but a subset of those integration challenges are found with CPG manufacturers, suppliers, and 3PLs. But retailers have a broader sense of challenges that they have to specifically meet. Now, if you look at a retailer's landscape, it's a hybrid landscape, and hybrid in this definition means they have a CRM that's in the cloud, so they have to connect to the cloud. They have multiple systems that are exchanging different formats, different timing, some real time, some batch, and what they have is what we call layers of middleware sitting in the middle. Now, the challenge here when you're trying to respond very quickly to the demands of omnichannel is that this middleware creates levels of complexity. And that complexity means there's going to be gaps, there are going to be failures, because each one of those back-end systems are working off of different formats, different processing, different rules and requirements by different vendors. So you can imagine that lower layers of complexity will have an impact on scalability. It's costly to maintain. You can't really respond to change quickly. It creates detection resolution problems because if there's a hiccup, and we all know hiccups do happen, if you're going to various systems trying to figure out what happened, then there's an impact on the end customer. And that particular omni-channel customer is expecting information back. For example, am I going to get my delivery now after they place the order? And if there's a hiccup somewhere along the line in the exchange of all those files, that customer is not going to be pleased if they're looking at their phone and there's an error or there's no response at all. What that customer will do is go to another company because they've already done the research. And also leads to poor collaboration with all the suppliers. So in essence, the retail environment is really ripe with the opportunity for integration because a lot of these integration points are the causes for why there's a slowdown in the effect of sales. Now, the question is this, if this is so true, then is there any, at a high level, different perspective here, is there any ROI in the investment to be made from a perspective of going through the movement towards the digital economy? And the answer is yes. If you look at some of the numbers that they have here and some of the sources at the bottom there, you see that there's a 15% growth in by 2019 in omni-channel revenue. So Best Buy, Lowe's, Dollar Club, you'll see a lot of growth in online sales. The in-store sales are not going to shrink tremendously. However, the online sales will continue to pick up. The biggest challenge is earnings. As you can see in this particular point, 33% of the companies basically express making money, which says the other 2/3, either 1/3 broke even and the other third did not make enough money because their sales channels did not enable them to be able to generate revenue. And so some of the challenges are in the areas of logistics. You have a number of variables. Sometimes companies quickly went out and put up a mobile app, but they were not connected to the back-end supply chain to understand how do we move the information and the physical products to those customers, to the locations, as I mentioned, to fulfill those orders. Sometimes there's even issues outside of IT that say, well, can all products be moved online? The answer is not necessarily so. So you have to pick the right channel, the right method, the right operating process, the right connections from an integration standpoint to make sure you have the right products you can move through the channels so it can be as profitable as possible. Our position as a company is to look at how we can have an impact in 3 areas. The one area is in the revenue area, the second is in cost, and the other is in asset utilization, productivity, and security of documents. So what I'm going to talk about now is what are the consumer's needs from an omni-channel perspective, and what are those hybrid integration requirements? A digital customer is looking for a brand experience. And I think what happens over time, we've gotten to the point where we say the product being purchased is the brand experience. That's not necessarily so in today's world. What's important, as I mentioned earlier, is the path to purchase is important. That is to say, give me the red carpet up to the point where I actually procure that product. And that red carpet in this instance is, give me all the information that I want. Once I hit a mobile application on my smartphone that's looking at your site and your products, this is all the information that I want. And the challenge is that can a company provide that information? What that consumer is looking for is one brand, one experience, and a faster path to purchase. Now, on the other side of the fence, in this particular case, a retailer's current alignment is a little bit out of alignment. You may look at, for example, Victoria's Secrets may be more in alignment, Nordstrom more in alignment. Even process in alignment because they analyze their customer base, and that's the critical part of making sure there's a really good synergy between your online digital approach, being able to make sales, overcoming barriers by understanding what the customer is looking for, and then what are your capabilities internally. Now, from a retail perspective, and some of the retailers we've worked with have expressed their challenges. In this case, they have a lot of siloed systems, and it's not because of the current design, that is, we put our siloed systems in place to meet our digital demands. That's not it. As I mentioned earlier, the traditional approach was that every specific channel had a specific system, had specific inventory, specific data that was all siloed, specific people, specific processes. In the new omni-channel world, all these systems and all these silos and processes must be disintegrated and now seamlessly integrated, and that's the big challenge. Also, I might add, and then the most important piece, there's a tendency to forget about, and here again, keep in mind, we're talking bimodal. We're talking about maintaining the existing systems, in many cases, renovating any specific part of the supply chain systems that need to be renovated. Because at the end of the day, when that particular customer places an order, and they love the order, they love the experience, they're going to go out in social media talking about how great that experience was and how great that product is. And what that's going to do is stimulate demand. And once demand gets stimulated, on the retailer side, they're going to have to be able to step up and meet the fulfillment requirements of that demand, which includes the supply chain. So if the supply chain is not really up to snuff, there's going to be some fault points. And I'll talk about that in a second. So as a decision maker, how do you get aligned? You have to really look at holistic interoperability. What I mean by holistic is all the systems have to talk together, not only the digital system, but also the supply chain back-end systems. They all have to be in concert. So if you take a look and say, okay, now what are our hybrid integration plans? If we understand what the demand is, we understand this customer now wants all the information that the way they want it, we know our current environment is siloed, and now we have to transform from a silo to a more seamless environment. What do we do? Well, at the bottom layer is the business content. Many of you already have the business content in place today. Many of our customers have it in place today. Some are doing some renovation, and this is what we call, back again to bimodal or multimodal. And I'll say multimodal because if I were to separate EDI into one area, because that's more structured data, then we have the digital on the other side, more of the REST and APIs and so on, WebSphere. I mean, not WebSphere, but web services. And then we have in the middle MFT. And MFT is the movement of unstructured data. And there's many groups and skill sets who are working on MFT because you have governance, you have policies, you have security, and that's a skill set. So that can be a multimodal approach of deployment of resources to affect the omni-channel environment to reduce barriers. Now, at the top end, there can be a deployment of the digital skill sets that are going to go out and build mobile apps, are going to really find that customer engagement layer and make sure that that customer can engage through this technology. But here again, that top end has to connect to the back end, and that's where the omni-channel integration layer resides. How do companies now find solutions, one solution, multiple solutions, to interconnect that top layer with the bottom layer and to provide what we call a centralization of business processes, the management of the data, because all the back-end systems will be disparate systems and they have to be able to communicate to one another. So you need quick transformation, and you need not only that, more importantly, if something goes hiccup, you need management and monitoring and integration and audit trails. So the question becomes, how do you find a solution there? And that's where a lot of companies are grappling with. Even though some have run out and attacked the customer engagement layer, they've had some barriers with making sure there's the right connections to the content layer and also connections to what we call the fulfillment part of the content layer. So there are some challenges there, and many of the executives are saying, you know, can we deliver the content no matter the context? And that context could be, well, if a customer's on the web, can we deliver all the content? If the customer's standing in the store, can we deliver the content? If they're talking to one of our sales people on the floor, do we have a mobile POS system out there? Can we deliver the content in that regards as well? So before we move to how do you make that content happen, we always go back to the question, the EDI side, the fulfillment side. There's always an argument. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in many cases, some of the EDI solutions that have been out there, the B2B solutions, are good. But keep in mind the omni-channel shopper, they want the availability of the product as quickly as possible, promptly as possible. And in many cases, we're found with some retailers, and actually CPG companies, that if the B2B system has some challenges, or there will be disruptions in the supply chain. And in the traditional mode of prior to omni-channel, let's call it, a single channel approach, it was okay if there's a little bit of disruption. When you went to the store, if the shelf is a little bit empty, people were okay with it because it was just a store, a shelf. It wasn't great, but it was okay. In today's world, people are ordering at volume levels, so disruptions are not acceptable. And so at some point in time, there has to be a look at the legacy B2B systems and understanding the impact they'll have from an omni-channel perspective. Now, on this particular slide, it's showing two layers. In the background, you see the web portal, and that's the digital side of the business. This is where you deploy the digital folks. They're going out and building all the digital connections via web services, REST, etc., where the web orders are coming in, mobile orders are coming in. But more importantly, what's operating in the foreground is the day-to-day meat and potatoes, what's keeping the lights on. It's where your suppliers are sending product catalog information over to the retail systems to make sure all the right products are there, the right pricing is there. And then the retail system be able to go to the order to cash process. The challenge is, and what we've found multiple times, are the issues with the B2B legacy systems. And in many cases, there's multiple B2B systems, there's bolt-on systems, and then there's just a plethora of unsupported technology, unstable platform, a lot of custom coding, because those previous B2B systems, while they were purchased some time ago, served a good purpose. But there was a shift then to upgrading ERP systems, and a lot of the resources and attention went to ERP, and EDI just kind of limped along. But many companies are realizing when the demand of the omni-channel side continues to increase, it is stressing out the B2B side. And so you can see the impacts. At the end of the day, it's customer service issues and revenue impacts. So at the end of the day, there's got to be bimodal efforts that are essential for a customer experience to renovate those legacy systems when it's required. Now, if you take a look at the gaps here, this particular picture says this: okay, I've got the big picture. I understand now where we need to focus. This particular slide points to a couple of things here. On the left side is the integration plans. Where are our plans? The far right side are the integration requirements. And so if our plan is to go to a mobile application deployment, we know the back-end systems we're going to hit. We know the gaps we need to fill. What is, we have to provide content to that mobile app. And then what is the integration requirement? Well, it's got to have real time, and we definitely have to cross multiple platforms. And so if you look at this particular slide from that perspective, you can see then different companies have approached their path towards meeting the omni-channel demand differently. For example, as I mentioned, in the case of Victoria's Secrets, they went straight mobile, but they also did a little bit of the layer 2, which is the ordering system, because you need that inventory visibility. And so the technical requirements will be, it's got to be real-time cross-platform, business process integration, and inventory visibility. Because at the end of the day, one of the critical things is if a customer is standing in the store and places an order, and the clerk says, well, we're out of stock, that's not acceptable today. However, what is more acceptable is the clerk will say, let me look on my iPad, and I noticed that this product is sitting at this store, and I can have this delivered to your home today or tomorrow. Now, that's acceptable from a brand experience perspective, but having that inventory visibility is more important, and then having updates from all the stock keeping locations to provide that information is as important as well. The bottom layer is where I would put Best Buy. It's kind of, if you want to really go all in and do advanced collaboration, where you not only are doing the top parts of connecting your back-end applications and then all your inventory visibility, but you're making sure you're tying in your suppliers. I know many of the retailers and sometimes CPG companies will have some suppliers, your core suppliers, providing all the specific EDI or automated processes to meet your purchase to pay process. However, we do also know that there are a group of suppliers that are still manual. There are some of the suppliers or non-EDI suppliers that need to be onboarded. And so the whole idea is to reduce cycles, to be able to be as speedy and fast and as agile and meeting the customer demand on the digital side, you have to bring together with a solution to automate and drive supplier collaboration, and that collaboration also includes MFT, it also includes EDI, so that we can make sure that everyone's orchestrated to meet the demands of this omni-channel world. So now the question becomes, if you decide where you are in this particular schema, if you can do a bimodal approach, maybe you can do a launch of we work on centralizing our ordering or centralizing our inventory. We're going to do a mobile approach, and we're going to do some collaboration with our suppliers or automate our long-tail suppliers. That's a multimodal approach. And you're looking for how do we then buy a solution or find a solution to meet that particular need. And in this instance, you have some options. And this particular option is you have some drivers. And a driver basically says, if this is your criteria, you want to get to the market quickly. That's one driver. You want to minimize the total cost of ownership. You want to have a customized environment, making sure it's customized as possible from an integration perspective. You look at your skill sets in the IT department and determine, do we need to add skill sets? Do we have the right skill sets, based on what we're trying to do from a cross-platform integration perspective? And then also the question is begged, hey guys, once we get our platform or hybrid platform in place and our integration requirements in place, there may be some changes because the market's going to change. So we may want a solution that gives us the ability to adapt quickly even after we've made changes. And so you have three options. The one option is you can roll up your sleeves if you have a large IT department and build it yourself, and it has all the advantages as you can see. Or you can buy solutions that provide development tools, and that one really can resonate if you have the IT skill sets and you can have the deployment necessary to roll up the sleeves and do some longer deployments, because getting to the market fast is not as a high criteria as leveraging the existing skill sets that you have. Or you can do buy and configure, where you can buy the integration solutions, but there's not development involved, there's configuration involved, because they have a preset, large, extensive library of industry-related, pre-written workflows, adapters, connections, etc. And all you have to do is tweak them. And Seaburger falls in that buy and configure mode. We've been able to deliver a lot of these solutions quickly to the market with all the necessary criteria that you see below. And that's what suits us well to move into this omni-channel market. So we offer a hybrid integration platform to solve a lot of the challenges that I talked about earlier. Our core value proposition is we're looking to do several things for you. As I mentioned before, provide that improved revenue growth. We want to get you to the market as fast as possible. And I've got some examples here that would kind of articulate how fast many of the companies were able to get to market while their competitors were still rolling up their sleeves, going through a lot of development processes, which is okay. It just depends on what's the basic culture and how the culture is trying to change to meet the omni-channel demands. And then we want to reduce your integration costs, reduce your staff productivity, or increase your staff productivity as it relates to, here again, a hybrid integration project crossing both current, and that basically says maybe your back-end supply chain EDI, and emerging areas. Now, the critical thing is we achieve this by using our hybrid integration platform. Here again, our job is to power all your connections, meaning that if it's a B2B connection, MFT connection, EDI connection, API connections, we power all of those connections. This slide kind of speaks to what this platform does, and it gives you the visual for it as well. The critical thing is that we have a true integration platform. And what I mean by that is the first bullet. Our solution was framed and built from the ground up from a perspective of having what we call a hybrid integration platform, meaning that it's designed to serve both B2B, MFT, and EDI through one framework. A lot of our competitors have the same wording or messaging. However, their framework was bolt-ons through acquisitions. We don't have third-party acquisitions that drive our framework. The second bullet is as important. It's a shareable hybrid integration architecture. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say you've got what I said, a multimodal deployment of resources. So you have your B2B people maybe doing some supplier work. So they're pulling from the same platform, components from the platform, and then your MFT working on some more secure exchanges from system to system or human-to-human exchanges of files. They're leveraging the same components and architecture from the same platform, and so on and so forth, with the API guys delivering to your digital channel. the whole idea is simplification and standardization within the organization versus your different teams working on different platforms and then making your entire environment complex once more. Here again, what we're seeing in the marketplace, companies are driving for standardization, simplification, because the information has to flow evenly and easily and have the visibility from the end to end to know what's going on in this fast world of the digital economy. And then active environment basically supports the argument is always up and available. So we make sure that no matter if that one node is down, you have another backup node to keep you up and going. And then, of course, the back-end supplier portals provides all the ability to connect all the suppliers so that fulfillment is met on a timely basis. So this particular picture kind of encapsulates the whole idea that you can see one platform to serve B2B, MFT, and enterprise application integration / APIs as well. And the most important thing is that this platform can run on-premise and in the cloud. Now, how do you deploy, or where will you deploy, or if a retailer, and we've walked this to retailers who really love this slide, they're thinking about their entire landscape. They're saying, well, we have retail stores and dark stores. We have mobile and web connections. We have partners who are doing third-party business with us. Then we have all our back-end side, which are some suppliers. And how do we leverage this technology, this hybrid integration technology that can work in a multimodal and bimodal mode to really help us drive some integration? So our products are designed to do just that. We have what we call a BizLink product, which is linking technologies that links out to all the what we call the point of sales or remote locations, links back to an MFT platform that we have sitting there in Red and Biz. And then Biz can send all the structured files, all the, for example, the pricing information, inventory information, to back-end systems and vice versa. Then we have our mobile technologies, REST, JSON, web services, that we leverage to connect all these mobile channels to the back-end Biz. And here again, Biz would do a cross-platform synchronization of data to push that information back out to that mobile customer. And then if you have partners who are doing mailings and mass mailings, you're sending them critical intellectual information to them, intellectual property or customer information that needs to be secure. Some companies I worked with, they've had just straight FTP, or they're sending flash drives, which in today's world, maybe it's not the best thing to do. So we have a product called BizFX, which is a network share and store product that sits in the cloud that enables, it's a web-based solution that enables just the sharing of files via web, sits on a network, and then there's a lot of the sharing of folders so that all the information is monitored, governance and policy and security is as required. And then we have the EAI API capabilities here again. More importantly is to link not only to on-premise applications, but also link out to the cloud and bring all that synchronistic flow of information to meet all the demand channel requirements. Then of course the back end is your fulfillment. How do we make sure fulfillment is up and correctly synchronized? So if you have new EDI suppliers, we have the ability to onboard them as quickly as possible. If you have existing suppliers, but you're not doing good collaboration with them, we can offer here again MFT solutions that do system-to-system or human-to-system capabilities. Here again, driving that exchange of information. If you're doing collaborative planning, forecast, and replenishment type activities, here again, how do we manage the flow of information so it's speedy and timely and accurate as possible? And of course, those what we call the long-tail EDI customers, critical thing is they're still sending manual information. And in today's omni-channel world, we need to make sure the back end is as fast as every other part of the business. And so anyone who's still in the manual mode needs to be automated. So we have a web EDI product that enables them to leverage the web, the long-tail suppliers to leverage the web, but at the same time be able to send the information in a digital form instead of a mailing form back to the Biz application that then shares it with all the cross applications to drive that fulfillment to get the physical products to those particular customers. Now, if you were to take a look at this from a little bit more of a low-level approach, and this is a fulfillment side of an organization, they have suppliers on the outside, they have sales channels, front offices, back office type operations. What's going on in the background, as I mentioned before, you're going to leverage this one platform and work in the background to get all the inventory information using that linking technology and send it to the PIM, right? Your PIM application. Then it's going to go and it's going to get updates from the inventory applications and feed it to the, I'm sorry, not the PIM, but the ERP system, and feed it to the ERP system. So the ERP system has access to all the inventory information. Now, this type of operation is going on a repeated basis. It's cycling through. You set the cycles so that this one platform is constantly giving the update information to the ERP system. And then there's going to be, as I mentioned, a file sharing capability where suppliers are going to share images, large videos, whatever it needs to share with the marketing department. And then that supplier is going to send today their catalog. That catalog is all your pricing information that goes to the PIM. Now the PIM is going to take that information. It's going to probably send it to a secondary engine. Then that engine is going to push data back through the BIS application and up to the mobile site, to the websites, because each one of those sales channels may have different pricing and different products. Now, once all that back-end fulfillment, which is constantly updating the back-end on a constant basis, then you have the demand side, the demand channel. And in this particular instance, this one customer is saying, hey, I'm going to sign up for that VIP status, just like Amazon Prime. I want to be able to have all the advantages of fulfillment. And so that particular call is going to the CRM system. That CRM system is then going to connect through BIS using, in this case, web services or an API to connect to the back-end ERP application to update that customer record. That customer record must be updated in real time, not hours later, because that customer is going to make a purchase right then and there at lunch, saw the dress, already updated the VIP status. So when that order goes through to the ERP system, that ERP system has to know right then and there that the VIP status is now active and then all the benefits that accrue. If that VIP status is not there, what's going to happen is that that customer, that omni-channel customer, is going to have a bad experience. Bad experiences will always hit social media. So you hate to be forced into making sure your processes are in place because of the threats of social media, but it's a reality today. Now, once that order goes through, there's the back-end BIS workflow that's doing the synchronization using EAI to update all the back-end systems and provide all the statuses back to the customer in real time. And that's the real-time side of your business. And you're leveraging one platform and all of its processes to drive that side of the business. Now, that ERP system will say, we've got all the information, fill the order. That order can go out to the warehouse, pick and pack, and do a pick and pack and get ready to deliver to where that customer wants to deliver. Or if there's a relationship with the supplier, there can be a drop ship EDI sent out to the supplier so the supplier can do a drop ship. Here again, real-time information flowing as quickly as possible to meet that specific end user's requirements. And of course, sales information is being collected to send to any back-end data warehouses. And so the takeaway from these last two slides is that you're leveraging one hybrid integration platform that can work in a bimodal, multimodal mode and supporting the entire organization. You have one central place for managing all your workflows, all your processes, and more important, end-to-end visibility. As a document comes in, connects to the back end, there's end-to-end visibility to say, did it happen, did it work? If not, where's the problem? You can find it as quickly as possible. In today's world, you have to eliminate glitches as quickly as possible, and having a centralized approach to eliminating glitches that is a backed up, active environment to make sure you're always up and available provides a leg up to eliminate all those barriers that will impede a customer being able to be fulfilled and not only getting the information they need, but the fulfillment that they're looking for. These are just some snapshots of some accounts that have leveraged our technologies to achieve the end goals with regards to the omni-channel world that we live in today. The top one is a grocery store, 400 stores. They used previously FTP products to exchange prices and promotions, and what they realized is that they were having problems with consistency. A customer will go to a store, buy a product, looking at the newspaper saying, well, this is on promotion, but the store register doesn't have it on promotion because that store failed to get the update. That is not a good customer experience. And what they purchased was our linking technologies. And what our linking technologies will do, as I mentioned before, it'll pull all the information from all the back-end systems, leverage this technology to go out to the POS system and make sure that that POS system is up to date. And it has what we call heartbeat checks to make sure that all those links, 400 links, are up and operational and did receive the information. And also vice versa, the inventory information does come back to the headquarters. which is critical as well, because you need to know where your stock keeping locations are to move information, to move products around to meet a customer's requirement. The next one is a large MFT, a customer who already had a B2B platform, and they wanted to add MFT to the platform itself. And it was a large CPG manufacturer in the computer industry, and they really needed to get about 10 to 50 gigabyte files for final product completion. And the problem was there was no real secure, timely way to transfer these files from their suppliers to their internal systems. And using flash drives and other techniques were just simply worrisome. So what they did was they went with what I mentioned before, our MFT network file sharing product, in order to do human-to-human exchanges, which is what they were set up to do. And what it did for them, it sped up the entire process, enabled them to work 10 times faster than they did previously, and also have security that they were looking for. The next is Best Buy. It's kind of supposed to be secret, but I'll just let it out. Best Buy, as I mentioned before, they had all these back-end systems. They need to move quickly to the mobile environment, and so what they're able to do is that they had a lot of unstable back-end. Their B2B capabilities were unstable. MFT, they have multiple platforms, different platforms across 3 separate platforms, and they had to consolidate and modernize. And as doing such, as I mentioned before, they simplified the architecture. It became more agile and prepped for the future digital economy. It also reduced their costs, and they actually got up and operational in 7 months. So you can imagine changing and connecting to all the back-end systems that you see there, RMS, TMS, warehouse management, the OMS and PIM, all that was done in 7 months. And the reason why it was done in 7 months is because they had the ability to leverage a solution and had a library of pre-configured workflows, pre-configured connections and adapters to get them operational. The next is a CPG art supply company. And as you'll see in the marketplace, there's a switch taking place in the industry, where CPG companies are now selling direct to customers. So a CPG company will sell to a retailer, a CPG company will sell to an e-tailer, and now they sell direct to customers. In this particular instance, they had a line of business that wanted to go direct to customers. This particular CPG company already had our B2B product. The EDI group raised their hand in a meeting and said, hey guys, we can make that connection because we have EAI capabilities. We have all the tools within this one platform to solve that problem versus you guys bringing in another middleware platform, which is going to complicate our architecture. And so they did another test and studies and found out that B2B platform can also do all the connections to their new e-commerce platform that will use XML. Now, you'll see in that slide that I said they use their EAI connections via FTP. They have right now near-time integration. The reason why I mentioned that, and one of the things I mentioned before was skill set capabilities. This particular company did not have web service skill sets in the organization. They needed something that was next to the fastest method that they can use, leveraging the skill sets that they had. And then in this instance, they leveraged the skill sets they had. Now this operation is working perfectly, and now they're adding web services shortly. Here again, the flexibility to leverage one platform to serve a digital need and also a B2B need as well. And then the final one is here again, connecting all your long-tail suppliers who are not web EDI enabled. And this particular company had a large number of suppliers across multiple regions that were using manual paper. And so what they did was they leveraged our web EDI solution, provided the ability to go through purchase to pay in a much more accelerated fashion to eliminate paper. So in summary, what I talked about is the barriers and how can we have an impact on reducing the barriers. And as I mentioned before, we provide solutions that give you faster time to market because there's a lot of pre-configured capabilities, and many of you guys know this. And that has an impact on getting new customers and keeping your brand, keeping and building your repeat customers because you're getting to the market with solutions as quickly as possible and getting a larger share of the purse. As I mentioned, we have cross-platform capabilities. Here again, we connect all the platforms, no matter if it's B2B, MFT, or EAI or APIs. And what that does as well, it provides customer satisfaction levels because you're providing the information that those customers have been looking for. Inventory visibility to all stock keeping locations is capable. And what that does is, guess what? If inventory is not being sold in region A, but you know you have inventory in region B and these particular locations, instead of doing clearances and write-offs, move that inventory to where it's being sold so you can improve improve your order fill rates. And also staff productivity has an impact as well. Don't have staff running around looking for inventory that's not there because you never had visibility to your inventory. The configurable solution basically says we can configure it and leverage the same platform no matter if it's bimodal or multimodal. And that really helps leverage direct labor cost to get it where it makes sense to make sure you have maximal return on your investment. And then, as I mentioned before, it's a consolidation. We're eliminating unnecessary B2B MFT middleware platforms, APIs that are one-offs platforms, so that you can reduce hardware, reduce maintenance, and reduce even unnecessary staffing if it doesn't make sense, so that we can help reduce those costs as well. And of course, what we're doing at the same time is securing the exchange of sensitive data being leveraged throughout the organization during collaborations. So what I'm going to do now is hand this back over.
So thanks, Brent, for the presentation. Actually, I have unfortunately no questions of the attendees, but there are still a few minutes time, and in the meantime, we can skip to the preview of the next webcast. The next Tuesday we'll have another webcast on the topic Digital Deposit Box, and I'd like to invite you to join this webcast as well. Here at this point again, if you have questions after the webcast, you have the possibility to use the platform, the Seeburger community, to address your questions to our experts there, or you can contact me or my colleague Dirk Kruger. Brent, could you please skip to the next one? Here you see the contact details of my colleague and me, and yes, we have still no questions of the attendees, and so I would say thank you very much to our today's speaker. Thank you very much to the attendees for joining this webcast, and I wish everybody a great day and a good week, and hope to have you in one of the next webcasts again. Thank you, and bye-bye to all.
Bye-bye.